Welcome to Live Breathe Film, episode 78. You're here with Corey, Doug, and Murph. Thank you for joining us, as always. Today we're going to talk about our favorite films and TV shows of 2022 and draft films for our 2023 winter, spring box office pool. But before we do that, let's first wrap up our fall 2022 box office pool. So as we talked about in our last episode, it's pretty clear that there was a winner at that point, but we're officially at the point where there's no chance there will be somebody else taking the crown. I have won. Second place is Doug, and third place is Corey. If we did not do the whole doubling up my box office thing, it would have been the results would have ended up being Doug, Corey, and me. If let's say we only doubled one of my movies, we would have had a very close battle between Doug and I for first place. Black Adam was my biggest movie, but that was enough just to make it close between Doug and I based on his picks. Puss in Boots just did like really good numbers for me that I wasn't expecting. If we doubled up both of those, then I would have had a resounding win. But
Puss was like super leggy, right?
Yeah, it's got over 140 million now. It's still like doing well at the box office. That and Avatar are still both making money each weekend.
I think that one though is outlegging Avatar.
Yeah, probably with legs it would, because the opening for Avatar was so massive. But yeah, we can talk a little bit about. We'll first talk about Avatar's box office. We'll get into and then get into some other stuff. Because we will continue to provide updates to the Way of Water's box office as it continues to rise the charts, despite the fact that we move into these winter spring movies moving forward. But right now, with Avatar, we're looking at the fourth biggest movie of all time worldwide, the fourth biggest movie internationally of all time, and the 10th biggest movie domestically of all time. So it is continuing its ascension on the charts. As far as domestic, where it's at its lowest spot, it looks like it should be able to get up to Infinity War, and which is in the number 7 spot. There is that Titanic re-release, which we don't know exactly what that will mean because Titanic is currently number 8 domestically. But where things are even more interesting is the worldwide box office and the international box office, where it's very much Avatar and Titanic at 3 and 4 and not knowing where they're going to wind up. If there was no Titanic re-release, there'd be no question Avatar would end up, The Way of Water would finish at number 3 by the end of its run. It's only 30 million behind Titanic currently internationally, and only about 65 million behind worldwide. So those are both. It'll probably be number 3 in both those by the time the Titanic re-release comes out in a couple weeks, or next weekend actually. So it'll be interesting to see where those two lie at the end. But ultimately, it'll be I think fun to see how Avatar 3 ends up doing domestically, because we know at this point the franchise is just massive globally. It's just about whether it's going to continue to decrease domestically, or if the next one maybe sees a bump. And because now it's a franchise, it's no longer just like that one and done mystery that we weren't sure whether the culture actually cared about it. The culture clearly does care about it,
especially the international. I was just looking at, it's like I wonder why Disney made the play to release Titanic on the heels of Avatar, and I was like, let me check the studio. And it's not Disney for domestic; it's Paramount.
Yeah. Riding on the coattails.
Fox didn't have the guts to put up all the money on Titanic, so they did it. They released it internationally, and Paramount released it domestically. But Disney is releasing it internationally.
Okay, they are too
for a re-release. Yeah, I mean they're riding high on the 3D James Cameron wave right now.
Yeah, I mean, might as well.
Ultimately, it's more money in their pockets no matter what. So they don't really. I imagine they would probably prefer Avatar ends up higher just because it's an ongoing franchise. But they'll take their money that they can from Titanic. I saw James Cameron recently say he's like, well, he's like, we're doing this 25th anniversary because I doubt I'm going to be alive for the 50th anniversary. Um, he's like,
Fair.
I know we did it for like the 10th when they did that initial, or the 15th anniversary when they did that initial 3D re-release, but he's like, I wanted one more because who knows? I don't. The odds are I'm not going to be here for the 50th. He'll be in his 90s at that point. Again, don't bet against James Cameron.
Yeah,
He'll probably be alive and still making movies.
Yeah.
And Avatar 10 will be coming out.
Yeah, and we'll get the 50th anniversary of Titanic in theaters. But yeah, as far as the top 10 of fall 2022, this kind of gives you an idea of how myself, Doug, and Corey all placed where we did. Corey, you ended up with at the moment $722 million. You're still making some money from the whale. Doug, you're at 733 million as of the end of this weekend. Obviously, still making a decent amount of money from the Way of Water. And I ended up with 578 in normal money, and then doubled it up to 1.16 billion, which we were a little overzealous with our how we're doing this draft because of the heavy favorites that were Avatar: The Way of Water and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. But yeah, I'm still making money from Puss in Boots as well.
That was very much a surprise to me out of everything. Like,
which one?
Puss in Boots. The legs that had.
Yeah.
How much money that's made.
Yeah.
The reviews have been really solid.
Yeah.
Probably helped
it. That's definitely helped. And we know we're getting, and they're definitely making Shrek 5. Like, they're talking about that. Like, he'll probably return that. Eddie Murphy, I know, has been talking about wanting a Donkey spinoff.
Been talking about that for years.
Shrek franchise is only going to be continuing. Yeah, the top 10 of fall 2022 solidified. Number 10, Lyle Lyle Crocodile. So, Doug, you bookended the top 10 with both Avatar and Lyle Lyle Crocodile. Everything else you drafted
not in there.
Was a little disappointing in one degree or another. 2 of your movies, I think, made $3 million combined.
Oh, God.
The Whitney Houston biopic did not land. Like,
that was a shock for me.
Of the others. I know.
Were the reviews just really bad on that one, or like why did no one go out to see that movie?
I didn't even realize.
I don't know why no one went and saw it.
There was no marketing for it.
I think the marketing was pretty bad. It wasn't like as big a studio as the ones that put out like Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocketman, or trying to think what was the most, or Elvis. So that was part of the reason. I don't know. And then
it was just weird. I would have expected that. I thought that movie would be like at least 50 million.
Yeah.
On the low end. And it's just like no one wanted to see that movie.
Yeah, it was very surprising. Amsterdam was a massive bomb. We were expecting that to be kind of big based on the cast.
And David O. Russell movies have done pretty well thus far.
Yeah, he's had a lot of box office hits over the past since 2010. The Fabelmans, Spielberg's second box office flop in a row after West Side Story. So that was surprising. That's already on VOD, so it's really not going to make much money despite the Academy Award nominations moving forward. So yeah, you really came down to.
Speaking of
Avatar and Lyle Crocodile.
Not to completely sidetrack us, but did you guys hear that Everything Everywhere All at Once, they like re-raised the prices for VOD to download?
Oh, they did.
The movie because of the Oscar buzz surrounding it.
Wait,
I mean, and it's back in theaters too.
To like a full price rental, like a $20 rental.
I don't know if it's a full $20, but it like they jacked it back up again because there's a bunch of interest now in the movie.
Wow.
So I thought that was pretty funny. I've never heard of anyone doing that before.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that either. That is interesting. Corey, you had the number 9, 8, 7, and second biggest movies of the fall in Violent Night, Halloween Ends, The Woman King, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So we all expected Black Panther and Avatar to go 1 and 2 in one way or another. had you drafted Avatar instead of Black Panther, you may have won. I didn't do the exact numbers. You would have had an extra 200 million, so you would have been very close to what I was with all my movies doubled up. So you had a super solid draft. Like I said before, you're still making money from The Whale, Violent Night, The Menu. I mean, The Menu did pretty solid. That got like 40
Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
The Avatar re-release, 25 million. Pearl, 10 million, which was equivalent to X. Halloween Ends was probably the most disappointing of the movies, just because if it was not as controversial, it probably would have made more. But yeah, and then as far as me, I just had the middle tier movies with 3, 4, 5, and 6. I had Black Adam, Puss in Boots, Smile, and Ticket to Paradise. So all of those mid tier movies ultimately performed pretty solid for me. And then I lost one movie with White Bird, so I was at a disadvantage there. Really, the only bombs for me were Bros was the big bomb. Well, that only made about 10 million. Strange World, though, was definitely the biggest bomb because that was a Disney animated movie, and
I can't believe that
didn't even make like 40 million. Don't worry, darling, that made more. So yeah, our top 10 was Avatar, Black Panther, Black Adam, Puss in Boots, Smile, Ticket to Paradise, The Woman King, Halloween Ends, Violent Night, and Lyle Lyle, Crocodile. But yeah, it was an interesting season.
Yeah, there were quite a few surprises. Like usually you have like maybe one or two, I feel, but there was a handful of like surprise hits this season, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, it was. I mean, what we really learned though is unless there's action involved, movies aimed at adults, and especially award type movies, they don't make money.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's really sad.
Things have changed. It's sad, and it just shows how much things have changed.
It's gonna just be streaming probably. Those awards movies will probably focus more on like the streaming.
Yeah, they'll probably try to sell to the streamers, or they'll be going on via PVOD as quickly as possible and hoping on and marketing more for that aspect.
I think a lot of it is just the social media like presence. So the movies that are promoting more social media wise or have like that type of viral buzz, a lot of those are doing better. Like Smile had that weird marketing, around Halloween, and that movie just got so much buzz.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't, I mean, it was decent. It was a decent movie, but it wasn't anything crazy. And that movie did really well.
Yeah, that was a late pick for me too. And
yeah, I was going to pick that one.
Performed well. Yeah.
I think what you're seeing is probably like because it's just the technology aspect of it that we've talked about before. Like if I can see it in my house, like what's the draw to get me to see it in theater? Yeah. Avatar has like the spectacle of the 3D. Horror, you have like the audience reaction.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, its own thing. Even like maybe certain comedies, it's better with like an audience. Mm-hmm. And then like big action type movies, it seems to be better with an audience. But I think you're like a drama. I don't know if the audience really adds much to it. And maybe that's what we're seeing is like people are like, I can just watch that at home.
Yeah. And these older audiences who may decide to go see 1 to 3 movies a year, they're now leaning towards the ones that are the biggest spectacle. They'll go see their Top Guns, or like even Elvis, like is a very visual movie, or even seeing Avatar, like something that's a 4-quadrant blockbuster. So yeah, it was
also the theatrical window has gotten smaller in a lot of cases.
significantly.
So like you don't have to wait that long anymore to like see it.
Yeah. COVID.
Yeah, man. It's like 17 days in some cases, 30 days in others. I mean, Halloween Ends was a day and date still. Like that was on Peacock the day it came out.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all still using their own methods, but yeah, the window is shrunk dramatically. The only ones that stay long, that exceed like 30 days, are the ones that are still like the massive movies. Black Adam was like had I think over a 50 million like opening, but yeah, it did. But yet that was on HBO Max or PVOD in like within a month on Thanksgiving. So
Yeah.
less than 30 days, it was already on PVOD.
Yeah, it was the week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that was like the bad word. It had a bad word of mouth.
It did.
Like people, the word of mouth on it was this movie sucks, and so that's not what you want with
yeah,
a movie. And
Not
so
good.
like they just couldn't keep up with like any sort of box office numbers.
Wakanda Forever is out on Disney Plus now. That was 90 days, about 90 days. So that was
Feels like so long ago that we saw that for
that
some
and
reason.
yeah, that and Avatar, like the only ones that have normal windows. But yeah, I think that sums up the fall. We're going to talk about our best of film and TV of 2022, and then we'll get into our draft for the winter and spring of 2023. Because there's a lot of films to talk about there. We are finally in the period where movies are coming out consistently. So this is going to be a fun draft. But as far as our best ofs, do we want to start with film or TV?
Before we go there, just real quick, if you do want to rent Everything Everywhere All at Once, it is a full $19.99.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was $5.99 when I saw it
Yeah.
last. That's wild.
To rent it, that is nuts. Yeah, I mean,
A21's want to make that. They want to make that dough while they can.
It's their biggest movie of all time, and it's still making money in theaters now that it's been re-released.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you want to do? What do you want to start with, TV or film?
Let's do TV. We always start with movies.
All right.
I got a question. Severance, was that 2022 or 2021?
Severance was 2022.
Oh shit.
So, all right, let's do movies since Doug's gonna have to update his entire list.
I mean, it's a quick update, and then
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it started February 18th, 2022.
My mistake.
We'll do similar to what we did last week. We'll have everyone go through their top 5 for TV, and then with movies, we'll do the more of the wraparound, or maybe we'll just go straight through. But Corey, you want to just do your go from five up to 1 on your list?
So my number 5, I definitely watched a lot more new shows this year than last year. That was kind of like a off the cuff resolution for myself last year, was to try to watch more TV shows that were relevant or new. So one of the shows that I watched was Cabinet of Curiosities. So it's a Netflix show, Guillermo del Toro, more of like a anthology type of series where it was horror based, and each tale was kind of contained and based on its own thing. I really enjoyed it. For the most part, I think there was one episode that I didn't really like, but for the most part, I thought each episode was fantastic. Had all different directors, from different areas, coming up with these stories and directing them. So I thought it was really interesting. Excited for season 2. My number 4, I haven't caught up with the full second season yet, but I'm finished the first season. Slow Horses, Gary Oldman, Olivia Cook. I'm trying to think who else is in it. A lot of English actors. So basically, it's MI5. And there's basically a
It's like the reject group.
yeah, they're called Slow House. And they're basically the reject group, like Doug said, of all the special agents from MI5. They did something to get there, and then there's they're framed for some sort of a an act that happens. So basically navigating that whole thing. Gary Oldman's amazing. The whole cast was really good. I enjoyed the first season. It's only 6 episodes, which I thought was really refreshing. Each episode was about an hour, maybe a little bit less, 55 minutes. and it was very quick, but it had like that the Bourne Identity type of vibe to it. And it was shot really well. It reminded me a lot of like like Bond in the way where it showed a lot of the city when they were in London and just a lot of the environment. It was very interesting. So I need to finish season 2. So I'll get back to you how I feel about that. But that was one that I really, really enjoyed.
I didn't like
3.
it as much as I thought it was good, but I didn't love it as much as you loved it. Gary Oldman is definitely a standout.
He was a standout. Yeah.
As this like drunk, disheveled leader of the whole organization.
Yeah, his character is very unique for sure.
But I am interested to see hear what your thoughts are on season 2, if it's an improvement or if it's the same or it's good. I thought it's definitely well made. I just didn't love it quite as much.
It reminded me a lot of and I don't know if I know Murph, you probably haven't watched this, but I don't know if you did. Sherlock.
I watched Sherlock.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So it reminded me a lot of that, like that same type of. It was that wittiness, that British wittiness that show had, and that type of writing. So it was really refreshing to see that along with like the drama that goes along with those types of shows. So I thought the writing was really well done.
Cool. Number 3 is interesting because it's number 3 on Doug's list also.
So number 3 for me was Andor. This show took me a long time to get into. I don't think episode 1 and 2, I was not interested at all. Not interested at all. 3, I started to get a little bit more interested. And then 4 is when it just pulled me in. Yeah, I think Doug has said it on previous episodes. I think it definitely is a jolt for Star Wars. I think it's something very new, very refreshing, very adult, I guess. Takes it a little bit in a new direction. And I really enjoyed that because I know for me that I've been kind of, fatigued with Star Wars in general and what they've been doing lately. So this was very refreshing and really, really well done, especially for how many characters are in and out of this show. It was just written really well. You can see that they took a lot of time to kind of, compose everything. And the acting was fantastic. And what is nice for Disney Plus show is that the special effects were not shit.
Yeah, they did a lot of actual sets and costumes and things like that, being on location.
Yeah, you could see they spent a lot of money on it for sure.
It was movie level quality.
Yeah,
I thought whereas a lot of their shows look like TV and they have like a cheapness about them, I thought this kind of felt like a elongated movie in a lot of respects. The sets just looked like a lot more impressive. The costume design was more impressive. The way it was filmed more like a movie. And then Stellan Skarsgård, I thought crushes it as both the rebel spy, and the eccentric shopkeeper.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, the writing is so good in that show. To me, this is definitely my favorite Disney show that they put out so far out of everything. I think it's the most across the board well made. And I hope Disney does more of this type of stuff because a lot of their stuff has been pretty disappointing to me outside of Andor. Andor was like a pleasant surprise where I didn't even I think a lot of us felt this way. Like I didn't care about Rogue One.
Yeah, and, it was good, but I didn't need a spin-off. Certainly not.
Yeah, I enjoyed Rogue One, but for different reasons.
This is a weird year because that's the second show now that I'm thinking about it where I got a spin-off for a character that I didn't think I wanted, and then I wound up really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Although
with, Peacemaker being the other.
Yeah. For me, I could still say, this is in my opinion, that I didn't enjoy this show because of Andor. I enjoyed it for everything else that was going on around him or because of him, not specifically that character. Like, his character was great. It was interesting, but it wasn't the most interesting part of the show. And maybe that was by design, but
No, he's not. He's definitely not. I think Stellan Skarsgård character is more interesting. I think Andy Serkis's character, is more interesting. I really thought like that was the performance where I've seen Andy Serkis as Andy Serkis, like as a human being, stretch his legs the most in a role where I was like, holy shit, this is really good. I mean, he did a little bit in the Batman, but this I thought was more impressive. Like the whole jailbreak scene and all that was pretty epic, and then the finale I thought was just really fun and really entertaining.
And I think that the one thing that this show did for me that I really enjoyed was that the Empire for me hasn't been terrifying, hasn't been like imposing for a long time in movies. They've just been like the mustache twirling villain, which is fine. Whatever, it's Star Wars, it's fun. But this show made them actually terrifying. Like the stuff that they did, and then as on the flip side, also the stuff that the rebels were doing at the same time. No one was good or bad in this situation. It was very much a lot of gray area stuff that was going on, but they painted all of these like, really questionable things into the Star Wars universe that were never really talked about up until this point. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, there was definitely a level of realism to it in that you had like the Empire was more like you more got to see like the administrative parts of it, and it felt more like they felt more like Nazis.
Yeah.
And then the rebellion, had a grittiness to it of where like this isn't all just like, we just shoot up a vent on the Death Star and blow it up, and we all we all just like pop champagne and like go home and end of story. Like this is gonna be like this is gonna be a slog. People are gonna die. We're gonna have to make tough decisions in order to like. It felt like a real.
A lot of people aren't gonna see the Empire be defeated. They can play, I mean,
Stellan Skarsgård,
but they'll be long gone before it happens.
Skarsgård had like that awesome line in his big monologue about how he's fighting for like a sunrise he'll never see or something along those lines. Like, so good.
And it'll probably make, I haven't watched it again, but it'll probably make Rogue One, an even better experience because of this. So
I'm sure. I'm
excited for season 2, but that was definitely a surprise for me.
I mean, Doug was pushing for us to watch it so hard.
Yeah.
It didn't make my list, but I realized no franchise fair really made my list with the exception of, well, I guess there's one, technically it's part of a franchise. But if I looked at my like 6 through 20, there'd be so many franchises. Like, and Andor would be towards the top of it. You'd also have your Peacemakers, your The Boys. Ms. Marvel would be on there.
Stranger Things, maybe.
Stranger Things would definitely be on there. Granted, it's an original TV show, but at this point, like it's very much genre. Like,
it's also like the 4th season.
It's far along. I'm trying to think if there were any other good. Was there any other good MCU ones this year?
Miss Marvel.
I mean, She-Hulk was good.
Yeah, She-Hulk was good. I don't know if it'd make my top 20. It definitely wouldn't make my top 10, or probably not even 15. Moon Knight wouldn't make anywhere near anything.
Miss Marvel was the strongest out of the Marvel, but I still didn't love that show.
Yeah, Obi-Wan I enjoyed. It'd be somewhere in my top 20. So yeah, there were a lot of there's a lot of quality franchise television.
A lot of good television.
It was just the originals, really like the HBO type of stuff, where it was my appointment viewing.
Yeah.
Even the goddamn Mighty Ducks would be in my top 20, and that's a kids franchise. Like, there's a lot of good A lot of good TV out there.
Yeah, I watched a lot of HBO shows this year, now that I think about it.
Yeah, but all right, Corey, you want to get into your number 2?
Yeah, so number 2, HBO show again. So I know Doug and I were high on this towards the end of last year, House of the Dragon. This was also a surprise, at least for me and Doug. After how Game of Thrones, ended and bowed out a few years ago, I think everyone was kind of, thinking that the show was going to be a cheap cash in, and it was everything but that. I enjoyed the entire season. There wasn't a bad episode. Thought it really sets up things for the future for season 2. Definitely had some really, really, really strong episodes. But as a whole, I think the pacing was great. Definitely one of the best experiences of TV that I had last year.
Nice.
Yeah, this is on my list too. Spoiler.
It's one I have to catch up on.
Yeah, you haven't watched it, but yeah, it definitely was a surprise for me. I thought probably had one of my favorite episodes of television in 2022 with the Patty Constantine episode where he just crushes it as the old King Viserys. Really freaking good. But all the acting across the board was really freaking good. CGI dragons were really well done. Really interesting story. If I had to criticize it, it'd probably be that the time jumps could be a little bit jarring at times and the changing of actors and actresses. But other than that, I mean, it was a really strong show. Appointment television for me this past year, and looking forward to seeing more of it because it was really, really entertaining. It ends on an interesting note for going on to season 2. So
yeah,
it definitely helped wash kind of like the bad Game of Thrones taste out of my mouth, where felt like it's kind of like a return to quality television for Game of Thrones. I am a little bit nervous with season 2 because we lost Miguel Sapovich, who was one of the major showrunners. So hopefully that doesn't mean we're going to see a dip in quality for season 2.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I think it'll be okay. I think he's going to do that Jon Snow show that they're trying to make. Which
I'd heard that.
Which whatever about that.
Probably do that.
So I'm gonna round out my list with another HBO show, White Lotus. I just finished this, so just started it, just finished it. I probably watched both seasons within the past 2 weeks, and this was definitely my favorite shows because each season follows different characters. That I've seen this year. I had a lot of fun with both seasons. All the characters were very different. Each season takes place in a different part of the world, different hotel, and different cast of characters. So the first season takes place in Hawaii. Second season takes place, I think, in Sicily. It just, without going into context of everything, but it's always a mystery involved, and it takes a lot of themes with relationships, with love, with being faithful. There's murder involved, and it's just written really well, and the acting the characters are very, very, very good. It reminds me a lot of I'm going to say, even though a Clue with the characters, and then also like Glass Onion and Knives Out, like there's caricatures throughout, just outlandish characters, but the themes and the twists and turns are really what you get out of it, and what's the most exciting, plus the environment where they're filming it.
So I guess we might as well all talk about it, right?
Yeah, it's the only show that made all our lists.
It made all of our lists. I think it was the bottom of my list, or towards the bottom of my list. Let's see.
Yeah, it's number 5 on your list, number 4 on my
Okay.
list.
Yeah, but it's still like
It was appointment. It was really appointment television. Like you referenced that phrase before, and it really was like Sunday night. I'm like, gotta watch White Lotus.
The way that, or what I really dig about White Lotus is the way that it slowly builds up tension throughout the episodes, where you can kind of like you get like more tense as like each episode progresses, and like they set up these like car crashes basically, and you're just like watching as like the cars kind of like inch closer together.
The interactions get more and more awkward, and
it's just like there's something about it, and then like the music, like it's they like it's the scenario combined with like the music and combined with like the way it's filmed. It just gets like more and more kind of crazy as it's going. And it's paired always with like a beautiful location. Like some of those shots throughout the show are just like, I'm just like, wow, that looks amazing. Like I think I said like, Murph, you should be watching this on your better TV because like these are some really beautiful shots and it looks really good on the big screen TV. So like that pair, like, so you have these like this beautiful imagery combined with like a lot of times these like horrible people doing horrible things, and it's an interesting dichotomy, but it's also like just pleasant. Just like a fun experience, and there's like dark humor wrapped through it. Like the humor is my type of humor, where it's like awkward environments, or awkward situations combined with like dark humor. Yeah, I like the show a lot. I'm excited for season 3.
Yeah, they just keep Mike White keeps creating these very original characters that would appear to be one-dimensional when you first meet them, but they do peel back the layers. And ultimately, some of them are what you originally did think of them by the end. There are still facets of their personalities that you get to learn throughout the season that might make you be like, okay, this is why they are the way they are. But it's very much a fuck the rich type show, and yeah, the mystery stuff, it gets me at the beginning, and like it's a thing that like I keep talking about, but it's definitely like the backseat. For me, like it's fun when it been not even say murder, but the death, like whoever is going to die, because they make it clear at the beginning of each season that someone's going to die, and it's fun to speculate about and everything like that. I think they made it. That was a much bigger aspect of season 2 than season 1. Which I don't necessarily know is a good thing. I think I liked season 1 more because it was just more focused on the comedy and bringing together various pairings of characters on the show, and the different dynamics. While these ones, most of the characters just stayed within their group of people. But the groups of people, everything was more intense, as Doug referenced, and continued to get more intense as the season went on. So yeah, ultimately, I can't wait to see where they go with season 3. See if any of the actors return. I'm happy they're continuing to go to new destinations and only bringing back like a select group of people. It wouldn't really make sense if they just brought everyone back each season. So if they bring someone back, maybe they won't bring anyone back. Honestly, it'll be fine. I trust that the new characters that are created will be richly drawn and interesting to watch.
I like the idea of Armand coming back in like a maybe like different.
I don't like that idea. So you're gonna like it's a prequel and he works at a different White Lotus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like Armand so much.
I know.
Like,
I didn't even think about that.
He's probably my favorite character of the 2 seasons, but I would like to see them continue to go in a forward direction.
I wouldn't make him as big of a focus, but I'd still like him to be. I'd be intrigued to see what they did with Armand, like seeing Armand before he like is the Armand that we like catch up with and see in Hawaii.
Yeah,
but we'll see. I'm sure like what's his face is going to be
HBO is going to
Murray.
be Murray Bartlett,
Bartlett,
another
yeah.
show before you know it.
Yeah, I mean that guy's got, I'm sure, like a ton of people knocking at his door at this point.
Especially now.
Yeah, I mean he could win another fucking. He could win a bunch of awards now for his next performance. He already won a bunch for Armand, so
yeah. All right, Corey, that's the end of your top 5.
Yep.
Doug, you want to get it to yours? You want to mention your honorable mentions first?
Ooh,
yeah, I mean we talked a lot about yeah, I just started being like, wait, there's all these shows that I liked that I feel like I should at least shout out. I think we talked about a lot of that. I mean, like The Boys, Peacemaker, Stranger Things season 4. The one show that we haven't really talked about, and I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, and I feel like it's criminally under talked about and underseen, is The Black Bird. On Apple TV. So if you guys haven't seen it, which I'm assuming you haven't, it's definitely worth a watch. It's kind of got like a what was that show? It's got like a Mindhunters type vibe to it.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is the one with another franchise person.
Taron Egerton.
No, Paul Walter Hauser.
Paul Walter Hauser.
Yeah, another franchise, Cobra Kai. We didn't even talk about that. Big Mouth, Human Resources, so many franchises. Keep going.
Yeah, he's in it. He plays like a creepy serial killer guy who's got like mental retardation issues. Clearly, he crushes it. His performance is amazing. Taron Egerton's great in it. It's also got Ray Liotta is in it. I don't know why no one saw this movie or saw the show, but the show was actually really, really good.
I don't watch Apple TV shows really. I think I don't know why. Ted Lasso, and now I'm watching Shrinking. I don't know if I've seen any other show on Apple.
You should watch it. I think you'd probably like Blackbird.
I mean, it sounds good. I think Dennis Lehane, my favorite author, is like very much involved in the show.
I think he wrote like a lot of the.
So yes, it would be up my alley. It's literally I've read every one of his books. So
yeah, it's got like a Mindhunter Blow. Like I don't know, it's got like that vibe to it.
Gotcha.
It's really good. All right, so now to my real list. White Lotus was my number 5. House of the Dragon was my number 4. I just realized how quick this is going to be. Andor was my number 3. Number 2 was Severance. Speaking of Apple TV shows, Severance was kind of a. I think you'd really like it, Corey.
I think I will. It's on my list.
The concept is that it takes place in a world where they've created the ability to separate your outside of work life from your work life into the fact that they're basically two separate existences. So like for just to kind of give you an example, like if I'm going to work and I've gone through this severance procedure, like I basically like go through the front door to go to work, and the next thing I remember is I'm leaving. Like you don't remember being at work at all. And so there's another half of you that, experiences the other half of that, where, all the experience is being at work. And that's the basic gist of it. Of course, it's like probably a metaphor for work-life balance and your work personality versus your outside of work personality and things like that. But it's got like a very sci-fi vibe to it. Sci-fi and probably like lots of metaphors throughout, but it's super entertaining. The last couple of episodes build to a really awesome finale. Like probably one of the better finales of TV shows I've seen this year with Severance. It ends in an awesome place, and it's like that whole last episode is edge of your seat TV.
How many seasons is this? 2?
It's 1 season so far. Season 2, I think, comes out maybe this year. I don't know.
Okay.
How quickly they're, but I mean, it's got Adam Scott, Patricia Arquette, John Turturro. What's his face is on it too. Christopher Walken.
Damn, good cast.
So cast is really good. It's directed by
Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller. Thank you.
Oh,
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
So really good show. Definitely a surprise for me. I like binged it when I had COVID. Really enjoyed it, and then made my wife watch it and basically rewatched it a second time, and it was still good. So yeah, you guys should definitely check that out. It was a good show. And then my number one show, couldn't see well this isn't my number one show, was Better Call Saul. This was the final season of Better Call Saul. It was interesting as to how, they were going to finally wrap it up and whether or not they were going to stick the landing. In my opinion, they did stick the landing. Great performances throughout. Bob Odenkirk was great. Not sure. Hopefully this show wins Emmys this year, but probably won't.
It won't.
It won't. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that depressed me when we just said that.
It should, but it won't.
You had Ray Seahorn too, who also did a fantastic job, as she has throughout this entire show.
Yep.
The show has been robbed. The actors in the show have been robbed. I don't know what's going on, why people hate the show. I think people just feel like maybe Breaking Bad got too many awards.
Yeah, it's getting its awards elsewhere. Like, it gets Critics' Choice Awards, pay respects to it. It gets a ton of it always gets nominations. It just doesn't get its wins at like the Emmys or Golden Globes and shit like that, and SAG Awards.
Yeah, it's annoying. I thought the conclusion was satisfying. It's a conclusion for the main characters. We get to see how their story ends. It's a satisfying one. It's one that, I was happy with where the characters ultimately ended up. I thought it worked with where they were going with the story. So yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed watching it. I really enjoyed talking about it after watching it. Yeah, I mean, this show has just been so solid for so long. If you haven't watched Better Call Saul, I highly recommend it because it's really good. I think this final season, because it felt like it was very much going into like the Breaking Bad. Like each season kind of felt a little bit more like Breaking Bad as it went, and as they started pulling in Breaking Bad characters. I think this final season, especially the back half of the final season, it came back to Better Call Saul and like focusing on Saul Goodman and those types of characters, which I thought was the right decision to make since it was always about Saul.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was really enjoyable. I'll probably go back at some point and rewatch the show just to see how it works closer together. But yeah. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah, I ultimately had it at number 2, and it was one that for the past 2 weeks, since I've had this list on, I had been debating moving it up to 1. I'll get into why it was number 2 when I go through my list in a moment. But yeah, overall, like, Better Call Saul is like, I don't know, the last of like the great shows. Like right now, I don't think there's like. It seems like the end of like an era. Better Call Saul ending. But
it's the end of those types of like AMC shows. Like that type of show.
It's the end of AMC, like the end of FX, like regular cable. Really, it's at this point it's HBO and streaming. But yeah, you just made me think of another franchise. What was it? Um, well, there was also Harley Quinn, that animated show, another good one. I put on some honorable mentions on mine. I wrote it down just so I wouldn't forget this one. Dexter New Blood. It had its final 2 episodes of the show during 2022, and it was such a better ending than the original Dexter.
That is so wild.
That I just had to mention it.
It is.
I heard that wasn't a hard feat though, because I thought the original Dexter I heard ended horribly.
The original Dexter ended terribly, like
but overall
all time bad. But I very much enjoyed Dexter New Blood. You watched it, Doug?
I was going to say,
did you start it and you stopped it?
I watched the first 2 episodes, and then I was like, I don't know if I could do this.
Okay. I mean, it very much like brings you back in time. Like you feel like you're watching like a TV show from like the 2000s. But ultimately, it worked for me. It was more like one of those original seasons of the show than the pretty horrible second half. Yeah, there was just another franchise I thought of that also we didn't mention. What was it? Give me 1 second. Okay.
So much good TV this year.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Yeah, it's weird too, because I was like, a lot of these shows, like I forgot they came out in 2022. Like it felt like they came out maybe in 2021, just because there was so much.
Yeah, I noticed that
happened.
Yeah, I noticed that with movies too. Like there was just a lot of content this year, and I completely forgot that stuff came out. In fact, this year.
Yeah.
American Crime Story must have been 2021. That was a while ago. But what was it? Cobra Kai we talked about. I don't know. Oh, The Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
The Walking Dead.
That finished.
That finally finished. And it finished in a satisfactory manner, which made me happy. That would have definitely made my top 20 for the year, maybe even top 10. It's being completely murdered right now by The Last of Us in quality, but but it was still a very satisfying ending for a show that its success only hurt it in the fact that it went on forever, and it was a show that was based on a comic that was about a situation that was just never ending. It was just the never ending tales of people living with zombies. So kind of make a satisfying ongoing TV show about that. But yeah, The Walking Dead would be somewhere on one of those honorable mentions, like franchise lists. But really, it came down to me it was like there were 6 shows that I was between for the top, for my top 6. 4 from HBO, 1 from AMC, and 1 from FX. My number 5, I was between The Righteous Gemstones.
Wait, did you make it top 6 instead of top 5 for yourself?
No, I made it top 5. I'm
I'm
just mentioning what there was a clear number 6 for me.
Okay.
Because you mentioned honorable mentions, so I added my honorable mention of The Righteous Gemstones. I was between Euphoria and The Righteous Gemstones for that number 5 spot. Righteous Gemstones ended up being number 6 because Euphoria was a little more appointment television for me. I think they aired it back to back, so it had to be more appointment television for me because I had to watch one before the other. But yeah, the crazy darkness of Euphoria, the soap opera-ness, just gets me in a similar way. Like it just like The White Lotus is also kind of soap opera-y, but Euphoria just does it in like the most extreme manner possible, and it's dealing with younger characters. Um, but stylistically, visually, it is so interesting. Um, the performances of the cast, outstanding. Um, the writing and directing at points can make the ship can make an episode and like a storyline absolutely like genius, and at other times it could be like, all right, this is pretty fucking ridiculous and kind of dumb, but it's still entertaining. So Euphoria, number 5. Number 4 was The White Lotus, as we talked about before. Number 3 was Barry. I thought this was the best season of the show so far. Did the best balance between the comedic and dramatic aspects. Um, had some incredible direction, including by Bill Hader. Some awesome, and I'm particularly talking about some of the action scenes that were on the show. Um, but yeah, overall, watching Bill Hader, like just his character really explode this last season, and be like, yeah, he's kind of I don't know if he should be like rooting for this protagonist to get away with what he's getting away with. Made
I
the
mean, he was never a good guy. He
Yeah, he's
always like
definitely never a good
he
guy.
killed people.
Yeah, without a doubt. But yeah, his in season 2, he was kind of trying to redeem himself, and
Yeah.
not kill. In this season, like he'd be like screaming at his girlfriend, like coming up with insane, like really revealing himself to more people about how sociopathic, psychopathic he is, on how much I don't know how whether it was all related to PTSD post his military stint or how much of it was from before. But yeah, the show is just a blast to watch. Great performances all around from Bill Hader, Stephen Root, Henry Winkler, etc. And I mentioned in my most anticipated TV shows, I'm really excited for where they go based on how season 3 ended.
Yeah.
Number 2, Doug, you talked about it. Better Call Saul. Ultimately, the reason why I went with this, it was between Atlanta and Better Call Saul for my 1 and 2 spots. Atlanta had the advantage of 2 full seasons. Um, Better Call Saul had 1 season broken in half. Um, but ultimately, Atlanta finished with what I think was one of the best final seasons of all time. Um, and Better Call Saul, I think I need to rewatch the final season. I don't. There were areas in the end game of Better Call Saul that weren't as satisfying as I was hoping. More so in the beginning of the end game, um, but I think it's something I need to watch again. Um, like I said, it was one that I was so between because overall, Better Call Saul is one of my favorite shows of all time. Atlanta peaked at the very end. It was a show that I always admired and liked a lot. I thought season 3 was probably the weakest of all the seasons, which was one of them that came out this year. Um, yeah, I thought it was the weakest of the 4 seasons, but then it followed it up with season 4, which uh, every episode was like a masterpiece. Um, so that's why it ended up being number 1 for me. So my top 2 shows are 2 shows that both ended. Um, so there should be a lot of shakeups in 2023, and I think we all have a front runner for what could be our favorite show of 2023 after just 3 episodes of television so far.
For sure.
And it's franchise fair, as because most television now is franchise fair. It's just done
The Last of Us.
very fucking well.
Yeah. Definitely done very well for sure, at least so far. We'll see how it pans out over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got the advantage of like Craig Mason did an amazing television show right before that with Chernobyl, and then they've got the creator of Last of Us as also a showrunner. Like, I don't know. It's like two
It's a
very
match
strong
made in
showrunners.
seems like a match made in heaven. It seems like the both of them love
Yeah.
working with each other.
And
Well-
HBO seems like they backed up like a dump truck or dump trucks full of cash, and said, "Here you go, like spend all the money on these crazy sets and crazy
I'd love to see
makeup
those
and
two do
everything."
something original. That would be cool, like an original show. But
Yeah, I don't.
we'll talk more about Last of Us, I guess, in a few weeks, right?
Naughty Dog will want. I know they were like Druckmann, get back to the office. You need to work on video
Oh, yeah.
games.
Yeah.
But he trusted Mason to do his job based on everything they had worked on together. So
Yeah.
yeah, and Corey, I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on Atlanta because I know you caught up on season 1 and 2 this year and started season 3. So when you finish season 3 and 4, I'll be interested to see what your ultimate thoughts were and if it potentially knocks or joins your top 5.
Yeah, I have about a half a season left of 3 and then 4, so I should have that finished relatively soon. I need to get back to it.
Cool. For the sake of time, I think rather than go with our snake approach that we did with the movies last time, let's continue going this route where we do 5 through 1 for each person. So, Corey, you want to start with your number 5?
Yeah, so my number 5 for films, I chose Pearl and X. So very much interchangeable. Mia Goth stars in both of them. Pearl is a prequel to X. Follows the same character, just in an older state. But it and both films are very different from each other. One film is more of like almost. Would you say Pearl is like a fantasy musical? Like in a way, like I don't even know what.
Got like a Technicolor Wizard of Ozzy type vibe.
Yeah. It's very. I think it's very hard to explain. X is very much a traditional like slasher film.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Right.
70s slasher.
Right. But the way these movies interconnect, and Pearl especially, I think it really elevates the genre and totally elevates Mia Goth as an actress. I think she really killed it in both of these, especially Pearl. These two movies have stuck with me throughout the year, throughout everything else. So that is my number 5. Everything Everywhere All at Once is my number 4. I'm pretty sure Doug has it a lot higher. It was like one of his favorite movies of the year. But this was I've only watched it once, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it's just a wild ride. You have time travel, you have action, you have love story. It's a very unique film with a very eclectic cast. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Then the next movie I had was Glass Onion, so Knives Out joint, I'm gonna call it.
Don't call it that. Ryan Johnson doesn't even want it to be called the Knives Out Mystery. I know he wants them to subtitle the next one a Benoit Blanc mystery.
Yeah. I would agree, but I had to use the opportunity to use joint, so but Glass Onion was fantastic. One thing I really liked about this movie is that it didn't, other than Benoit Blanc, there were no returning characters. He was the only through line, and the story itself was very, very different. Still a mystery type of movie, but the themes were different. Movie was very different. Setting was different, and I thought that was very interesting how they did that. And the only thing is, I thought maybe the characters were a little bit more interesting in the first one. Still not sure about that, but this one was, I've watched it almost 3 times at this point, and it's just such a fun movie. Number 2, I chose The Whale. Only seen this once. I definitely want to see it again. This one definitely resonated with me. I thought it was great performance-wise. Darren Aronofsky. It was a very different type of film than I've seen from him. Usually, a lot of his stuff is always just depressing, and doesn't really have that much positivity to it. It seems. This one, it definitely did, and it was directed more like a play, which it's based on a play, so makes sense. But Brendan Fraser, Sadie Sink were both outstanding. All the other supporting cast was great. And I definitely, this is one I wanna actually go back and watch again. My number one, and this one actually, I completely forgot that this came out this year. This was that type of situation. But The Northman came out, I think, in April, right?
Yep,
Seems like
April.
forever ago, last year. Um, this movie, I've watched it probably like 3 or 4 times at this point. I really enjoyed this one. Acting was great. It was a really great original screenplay by Robert Eggers. If you've ever seen any of his other movies, he did The Witch. He did The Lighthouse, which I actually still haven't seen. I need to actually check that one out. But this had a lot going for it. It really did. Action. It was paced really well. It was weird, like his movies are, but I don't think it was as weird as and obscure as his other stuff. So this one sticks out for me as probably my favorite thing that I saw last year.
Yeah, um, all strong movies in their own right. I like Northman quite a bit.
I did too.
Early.
I was thinking it might be my top 10.
Yeah, it
Like
would
I
be,
said, I
it would be
forgot
in
that it
my
even
top 10 also. Yeah, and then Pearl and X. You had mentioned. Well, we'll talk more about Pearl, and you talked about a couple of movies I had on my list.
yeah.
We can talk about them more when we get to me. All right, Doug, you want to go into yours?
Yeah, so I'll starting with 5. My number 5 is Avatar: Way of Water. I think just when I think about movies I've seen this past year, this is the movie that probably like wowed me the most, from just like a spectacle standpoint. Visually, really crazy visual effects. One ups everything that it did in the last movie as a sequel. The story's better, the visuals are better. The acting, I would also say, is better. Characters are more interesting. It's just, I mean, we talked about this movie when we reviewed it. It's really good. I would say the last hour of the movie I thought was a complete blast. Just a complete over the top action, set piece of just a bunch of action set pieces. Lots of people dying in 3D, particularly with like a bow and arrow. Just was a really cool experience. Really enjoyed it, and I think for that reason, it had to make my top 5. Just because it was probably one of my favorite. It's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, movie experience of the year, or at least movie theater experience. My number 4 is a movie that I had on my box office pool this year that didn't make any money at the box office, and I didn't actually see it in the theaters myself. I saw it at home.
You were part of the reason.
I was part of the reason. I was part of the people that just rented it on VOD. But it was Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans. This was a movie that I expected to not enjoy as much as I did. But the trailers made it look like it could be a little pretentious, a little boring. I didn't find it to be any of those things. I thought it was actually really interesting, and really did a really good job of helping you understand who Steven Spielberg is as a person, and I think pivotal points in his life growing up that shaped who he is and shaped who he is as a person and as a director. I thought it was a really interesting almost like a biopic that didn't touch on any of the parts that Steven Spielberg is famous for, but instead touched on the parts in his life that made him who he is today, and like I said, shaped who he became as a director. So it was really entertaining. It had a lot of heart to it, and it was really well done. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. My number 3 is a movie that I saw all of a couple of days ago. I didn't think it would crack. I didn't think anything would crack my top 5. Probably it's for like the last month or two that it's been set, but this movie was kind of a surprise for me. It's After Sun. This movie's really interesting because it's
if you can if you can try not to spoil it.
Yeah, I don't even know what this is, to be honest with you.
I'm not gonna spoil it. It's so it's a father and daughter. There's really not anything to spoil. Anyway, okay. It's a father and daughter on a vacation in Turkey. I believe they're Irish, and it's just them spending time together at this hotel in Turkey. And that's really all it is. There isn't really much to this story other than through subtext. But the majority of it is just them spending time together. I think why I have this on my list is because it resonated with me a lot when it ended, just because it subtly makes you think about, the parent-child relationship. And I don't know, I could see this movie being like a huge miss for people just because not a lot happens. But if you're like, look beyond just the top layer of the story, I think there's an interesting dynamic there. I thought the acting was really good between the individual that plays the father and the one that plays the daughter. I thought they had a really believable father-daughter relationship. It was really good. I really want to see it again, but yeah, I think the reason I made my top 5 is just I just kind of am going on with these movies on how I like felt about them, and this one kind of resonated with me. So that's why I made the top 5, just because I thought it resonated.
Yeah, it's the one movie with like an Academy Award nomination, not for Best Picture, that I still haven't seen. That I was hoping that would get a re-release around here, but it doesn't seem like it. So I'll probably rent it or hope that it's on streaming very soon, so I don't have to pay any money. But I'll definitely be catching it in the next month. Paul Mescal, the lead, is nominated for Best Actor, and he's absolutely someone to watch moving forward. We were talking about Gladiator before this started, and he's going to be playing. He's the lead in Gladiator 2,
which I think could be really good. But
yeah,
it's definitely not a feel good. It's got like a melancholiness to it. It's and the feeling at the end isn't like one of like happiness or anything. It's kind of just like you'll have to see it. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but like I said, not a lot really happens. It's all about how these two characters interact with each other.
Seems like a before sunrise, like a Richard Linklater, like day in the life, like one random day type movie. Is it all takes place in one day?
No, it's several days.
Okay.
It's basically like their trip in Turkey.
Got it. But it just like is really just focusing on the two of them.
Yeah, it's very much focused on just the two of them, and the two of them. It's like interaction with each other and their relationship.
Got it. All right.
So,
no, I was surprised you said you made it because last week you were like, "Oh, my list is finalized," like, and then this one popped up like just in the past few days. You watched it.
Yeah, Tar was actually the one that I was thinking could potentially crack my top 5, and then it turned out that I hated that movie. But yeah, I mean, it is that After Sun was definitely a surprise. I just kind of threw that on because you had mentioned it, Murph, and I was trying to knock out some additional movies just so I could feel better about putting out a top 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was surprised to have it on my list. I'm surprised it's as high as it is. My number 2 is The Batman. I just really had a good time watching this movie. I thought Robert Pattinson was great as Batman. I really liked the mood of the movie, the music. This was just a fun movie. I was excited from the moment that I sat down and the Batman title screen came on, and I was started to watch it, and I had a lot of hope and expectation going into the movie, and I thought this movie definitely delivered, and so it was definitely easily one of my favorite movies of the year of 2022. I thought they got that long Halloween mood right, which is something I had been looking forward from Batman movies, and so I'm really interested to see now.
Can't wait for the Batman Part 2.
Yeah, the Batman Part 2 should be really interesting. I'm glad that James Gunn...
I like the title. Reminds me of The Godfather and The Last of Us. I like when it's a statement when you put the word "part" in your sequel.
Yeah, and I'm glad. I mean, I didn't have any doubt that James Gunn and Warner Brothers was gonna not deliver on a part 2 for the Batman. But I'm really glad that they're not trying to shoehorn it into a shared universe.
Same.
With their whole DCU that they're trying to do. I think the Batman needs to just kind of live and breathe as its own separate thing.
Yep.
I can't even imagine Superman coming into that world. It just doesn't work.
It'd be stupid.
Yeah. So, and then as Corey alluded to, my top movie, it's been my top movie for a long time now, is Everything Everywhere All at Once. I just love this movie. When I saw it in theaters, I just had a really good time with it. It has a lot of really great action choreography throughout. Then it's got Michelle Yeoh, who's amazing at all of that stuff. But I thought she actually did a really great job acting too. I thought the entire cast did a really good job. Obviously, what's his name?
Ke Huy Quan.
Ke Huy Quan is probably going to win an Oscar from this movie. I thought he was really.
It's over. Yeah. It's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
I'd say that's guaranteed to win is like humanly possible.
I thought he was great in it. I thought the entire cast was good. I loved how original this story is. It's bonkers. It's just like probably one of the most bonkers movies I've seen in a long time. Just as Corey mentioned, you've got completely different universes. There's universes with like hot dog fingers, and there's universes with what else was there? There was like a Ratatouille type character, but it was
there was the world with the talking rocks.
The universe with the talking rocks, and it just had all these crazy things. But at the end of the day, it's just about a relationship between a mother and a daughter, and accepting your daughter for who they are, and that the whole relationship and the whole journey that the characters go on is actually a really simple story, just told in this epic and outlandish way. And so I thought this movie is a movie that could have very easily failed, and it didn't. They somehow pulled off this bonkers movie, and never lost sight of who the story was about and what the story ultimately was, which was like I said, a story about a mother and a daughter, and their relationship, and accepting your daughter for who they are. And
I'm gonna need to watch this movie again, because I was not as high on it as you two were. I mean, I wouldn't have put it in my top 20 or probably even my top 30. So I think I need to watch it again.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe
I want to watch it again.
Although I thought Key was phenomenal. I thought all the performers. Well, I didn't think Jamie Lee Curtis was phenomenal, but I thought Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie. I don't know how you pronounce her last name. If it's Chu or Hugh. and Hugh Kwan. I thought they all gave phenomenal performances, along with the grandfather in the movie.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I just didn't. We didn't connect with. It didn't connect with me in the crazy multiverse aspect of things. The family driven stuff, like in the beginning and end, very much so connected with it. But the outlandish stuff didn't connect with me as much as it did with many, many, many other people.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like there's times where I would say they swung for the fences and like it didn't always hit. Like I think like the Ratatouille stuff was kind of funny, but like probably like went a little bit too far. Same with like the hot dog finger stuff.
Yeah, the hot
But
dog fingers were a little too much.
especially when they kept like going back to it.
Yeah,
yeah.
But like a lot of the other stuff that was kind of ridiculous, like we talk about like the butt plug trophy thing.
Yeah, it was
I thought
funny.
was hilarious.
Yeah.
And like just like the crazy fighting, like the how Key is fighting with the fanny pack and like the beginning and all that. Like that's all like awesome. Like there just has like some really awesome fight scenes. But like even like the rock stuff kind of worked for me.
Oh, the rock stuff worked for me too. It's more, I guess, the hot dog fingers.
Yeah, I mean, but
It was very strange.
Yeah, there was parts that definitely were like too strange, but like it didn't to me detract from overall how great I thought this movie was.
And yeah, no, I'm not like saying it's like a bad pick or anything. Clearly, it's not. It's got this second most, or second most or most. Yeah, it got the most Academy Award nominations, and like I said,
Yeah, it's got the most.
all the performances were fantastic. Maybe I'll even like Jamie Lee Curtis more the second time. But
I plan to watch it again. I've got it. I bought it on Blu-ray or 4K or whatever.
well, I'm certainly not renting it because it's fucking $20. Although
I know I got in before the price went up.
I think it's on Showtime for free, so I can watch it on there.
Yeah, I'm excited to rewatch it and just see how it hits on like the second time too. But yeah, I just really liked that movie from the first time I saw it.
It was the real Multiverse of Madness, though. Doctor Strange just should have had to change their title because it had no right calling itself that after Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that was the true Multiverse of Madness.
The bad thing for Doctor Strange 2 is like it came out after.
Yeah.
So then you watch Everything Everywhere All at Once and it was like bonkers, and you watch like Doctor Strange and like the universes he goes to are like pretty much like our universe. And it was like, this isn't madness.
Yeah.
I just saw madness and it was like hot dog fingers.
Exactly. Well said. All right. We'll get into my top 5, 4 of which we've already talked about. Well, technically 5 of which we've talked about. Again, similar to my TV shows, I was very much like torn between my like final pick of number 5, Barbarian being the film that ultimately didn't make it onto the list.
About that.
That one just kind of floored me, caught me by surprise. I had no interest of it based on the trailers, and I've already watched it twice. But what I did include at 5, and then I felt was only appropriate that it included 2 movies, was Pearl and X, because they very much are 2 peas in a pod. Mia Goth absolutely killed it. Should have been nominated for Best Actress for Pearl. It's bullshit that she wasn't. Like Corey said earlier, they are just shot in 2 very distinct ways, 2 very different types of horror, slasher-ish ways. If I had thought last week or our last episode that Maxine was definitely going to come out this year, that absolutely would have knocked into my top 5 most anticipated movies of 2023. But I'm not sure if they'll actually get it out in time. I imagine they will, but I want to see how the story wraps up. But I mean, Mia Goth essentially played 3 characters in these 2 movies. When I saw X, I didn't even know she was Pearl, like until after the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I looked it up. I was like, holy shit. And then that was also when I found out there was an after credit scene about a whole nother movie that had already been filmed and was coming out later that year, which was Pearl. So it
Oh,
was
I
like,
didn't know there was. I didn't see the after credits.
yeah, it was a preview for Pearl. I was like,
Oh, really?
I had no idea there was an after credit scene, or I would have stayed. And I had no idea this Pearl movie was coming out. I had no idea the lead actress played two characters in the movie I just saw. It was very much like the one episode of Atlanta where Donald Glover plays a character, and I didn't know it was Donald Glover until after the episode ended. It's like just crazy good performance, and her performance in Pearl was still so much better than it was in X when she played two characters.
Yeah.
Her young version
That's
of
what I
Pearl
was.
is better than her old version of Pearl and Maxine. It's crazy.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I like in hindsight should not have watched Pearl before X, because Pearl she like does so much and is like she like really like acting wise like gets to do so much more, and is that like going to X she doesn't have as much to do performance wise. I mean, yes, she plays an old woman, but it's not like she doesn't have those big moments that she had in Pearl, and so I think it would have been probably better to go to X and then build up to Pearl versus like Pearl to me was like higher, and then I kind of felt like I went down a little bit to X.
That's fair because Pearl's definitely better, but it's one that like you don't need to see X in order to watch Pearl first. Like you'll get everything you need from Pearl, but X worked. Like when I watched X the second time after I had seen Pearl, I liked X a lot more because I picked up on more things. So that was why I was like, you could go. Plus, I was like, I think Doug will like Pearl more. So, and I wanted to get you to watch this, what's going to be soon be a trilogy, and see her performance. So I was like, watch Pearl first. Because I don't know if you had watched X first, if you would have even bothered with Pearl.
That's fair.
But yeah, that's my number 5. Number 4, Glass Onion, movie that just I have a fucking smile on my face when I watch it. I texted you guys after we saw it in theaters, and I was like, at the end of Daniel Craig's run, we might not be able to know if his defining role is Benoit Blanc or James Bond. And he was the defining James Bond. That's how good he is as this original character, Benoit Blanc. Can't wait to see the next mystery. It's very Corey. I think you had said something about earlier about White Lotus and Glass Onion and being somewhat similar, and it's true in a way in the fact that only one character returns between seasons and movies, and the characters in this are very much like a fuck the asshole rich types, and they're all these particular types of rich smug archetypes. But yeah, it was just a fun mystery. The cast is aces. Janelle Monáe was somebody that I probably would have nominated for Best Supporting Actress. She didn't get her due. And again, Daniel Craig just killed it. Number 3, it was one of those ones that I stubbornly left off my most anticipated list of 2022 just to be a contrarian, even though I was super much looking forward to it. It exceeded my expectations. It was one similar, Doug, you mentioned once the title card hit, you were all in. It was pretty much a similar situation for me, the Batman. By the time Nirvana hit, I was like, I fucking love this movie. It is great. This is now one of my favorite interpretations of the Batman. We've compared it. I think right now this is the best Batman. Not the best portrayal of Bruce Wayne, or some other aspects, or the best combined performance of Batman and Bruce Wayne. But so far, I think it already is the best portrayal of Batman. And I'm loving the universe so far. I'll watch the Penguin TV show when that comes out. Can't wait for the Batman Part 2. Just loving this world that Matt Reeves put together, this new interpretation of Gotham City. So yeah, that was my number 3. Number 2, another Paul Dano film, The Fabelmans. Steven Spielberg. He crushed it in a movie he wrote, co-wrote, and directed about himself and his family. Granted, it was not his names; it's loose. I'm sure he took liberties in certain areas. It's not
Yeah, it's
like
about Sam, not
yeah,
Steve.
exactly. It's not direct biopic, but it is a biopic. It is very much why Steven Spielberg is the man he is the director, he is the filmmaker, how he found film to be his passion, um, and is one of the greatest of all times. Um, I mean, if not the greatest of all time, he's certainly the most popular filmmaker of all time. Um, but yeah, and it dealt with all the familial issues, which were very much played a part in many of his films, particularly his parents' divorce, and the issues that were going on there. Corey, have you caught it yet? I know you planned on watching it this week.
Yeah, I have it in my. I rented it. I just haven't watched it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It'll happen over the weekend.
Yeah, but the Batman and the Fablemans, I was between 2 and 3. I might have shuffled it fairly recently after my most recent viewing of the Batman. But they're both of them I've seen multiple times. I think I've seen the Batman 4 times now, Fablemans twice. So I've very much see them flip flop again. And my number one film, we haven't talked about it at all. It is one that I saw all the way back in October of 2019.
Yep.
But it is my favorite film of 2022, and that is Top Gun Maverick. At this point, I've seen it 5 times.
Who would have thought?
And it just keeps on getting better. I fucking love this movie. Tom Cruise was robbed of a Best Actor nomination. I hope it wins plenty of awards. It is a perfect popcorn movie. Literally one of the best popcorn movies of the past decade. I already know it's going to be in my top 10 for this decade, even though I saw it for the first time in the last decade. Had a test screening. The fact that it'll be 3.5 years later when the Academy Awards come out, and this movie will win plenty of awards is pretty nuts. But yeah, it is just so entertaining. It is so much better than the original movie. They leveled up in every possible way. It is the perfect legacy sequel. You made a legacy sequel out of a movie that was not good, and you made something great.
It just survived off of its nostalgia for so many years. The original.
I mean, it was a massive hit at the time. One of the 10 biggest movies of the 80s. Now this is going to be one of the 10 biggest movies of the 2020s. But man, did I love it. So yeah, that's Top Gun Maverick for me. My number one film of the year. Anything else that we want to shout out movie-wise, or do we want to get into our draft?
I mean, there was a couple of movies, I guess, I thought Prey was a movie I really enjoyed this past year. It was on streaming. I wrestled with whether or not I would put it on my list, actually, because I enjoyed it so much. I'm trying to think if there was any other big honorable mentions that were probably not talked about as far as top 5.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned Barbarian. Obviously, I didn't like that movie as much as you did, and probably
it's so funny too.
You didn't see it.
That definitely was one of the reasons. I just kept pushing it off.
Yeah,
I wasn't looking forward to it based on the previews. Then you were so hyped for it and weren't excited about it. But once I finally caught it, I loved it.
Yeah,
just the twists and turns.
I think the whole who the monster, what the monster is.
We've talked about it.
That, it was a little too much.
It didn't work. It didn't work. My brother showed me some skits from the guys' comedy troupe. They have a TV show, The Whitest Kids You Know, and I very much could see after I saw Barbarian, because I watched it with him the second time, and I very much could see the dark humor, and the influence of how somebody who came from sketch comedy could end up making the movie Barbarian. It's kind of similar to how Jordan Peele came from doing his sketch comedy show to becoming a thriller, social commentary thriller, however you want to describe him as a director. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any others for me that I particularly wanted to shout out. Not Tar. The Menu I liked a lot. Um, Babylon is one that I keep liking more the more I think about it. Amsterdam was one I was very happy with, even though it was my quirky type of humor, even though it didn't work with critics or audiences. Um, any others, guys?
Multiverse of Madness kind of grew on me, even though it's like I don't know where it would fall, but it kind of grew on me on the second time. Did you guys so to watch it again?
Hey, Kate. Harry Potter made that 20th reunion that you mentioned in the comments was number 11. Well, number 11 on Letterboxd for me for the year because not based on its rating. That it was the final movie that was up to 4.5 stars. Scream and Fresh were the two other films that I
Fresh
did not
was one I almost
that I didn't reference. That were some of my favorites of the year. Northman was in that top 10.
Yeah, I would put Northman in my top 10 too.
Menu was in that top 10. Yeah. And Nope was one I liked more on the second viewing. So if you didn't like it on the first, it's worth the second watch once you have an idea of what the movie actually is.
Yeah, I was thinking about Nope, and like Nope was really well made, and I like the way it was shot. I like everything about it except for the story.
That's fair.
With Nope.
Did you end up?
Keep going. I would like to watch it again though.
Did you end up catching Adam Sandler's Hustle? Did you?
Yeah,
you did end up. You did end up watching it. Okay, I
still need to watch it.
Yeah, another performer that deserves to eventually get an Oscar nod. Because he does some good shit.
There's movies I'm like surprised didn't make my list. Like obviously Tar was a movie I had high expectations for that didn't deliver, but like Lightyear was a bust.
Yeah.
Uncharted was, I thought, kind of a bust. Wakanda Forever didn't hit as high as I thought it would, but Chadwick Boseman wasn't in that movie, so it didn't have its lead. So I thought it did as good as it could despite its lead. Thor: Love and Thunder was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, superheroes
Jurassic World Dominion was disappointing.
That was a stinker.
Which one?
Dominion.
Oh, Doug! At one point you had the Black Phone on your top 5. That would
you're right. I keep forgetting about that movie, but yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. Good. That would definitely be in my top 10.
When you filter by the year on Letterboxd, it doesn't show up under 2022. It shows up under 2021. Otherwise, that would have been under my 4.5 star rated movies. Really liked Black Phone. So that
was a really
that'd be movie. In my top 12 for the year, maybe probably top 10. Good year for horror. All right.
None of us have Banshees of Inisherin, which I find interesting.
No,
it's like a movie that's getting a lot of acclaim. Didn't really do much for me.
I enjoyed it. There's some great performances, but it wasn't I think it's overpraised. I think Martin McDonagh has written better screenplays and directed better movies, and including ones that starred the two leads. In Bruges, I like more than...
In Bruges is so good.
I like more than the Banshees of Inisherin, so...
It's better, and it's funnier, too.
Yeah. But I did really like... I liked quite a bit. I gave 4 stars.
Barry Keoghan I thought was the standout.
I think he's nominated for that movie.
Yeah, he's nominated. The same category Brendan Gleeson's nominated in. I think Carrie Condon is nominated. Carrie Condon is actually Mike Ehrmantraut's daughter on Better Call Saul, Doug, in case you didn't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And then Colin Farrell's nominated for Best Actor. So that and Everything Everywhere are 2 movies that both have 4 nominees in the acting categories. Pretty crazy.
I don't
Eight of the
really
20 acting nominees are just from those two movies.
Carrie Condon like is a good actress, but there was nothing that stood out to me about her performance in that movie. So I don't know. Maybe I need to see it again, but like there wasn't anything that I recall of that she did.
Yeah, I mean there were some other performances that I would have put over it for sure. And we'll get to our Academy Award predictions and
yeah, we'll have
like
to talk
that.
about the Academy. I mean,
in a few before the awards there, we'll go through all the awards and what we would pick like we did last year. But let's do this draft.
Let's get
draft. On to that. So similar as usual, we're doing our $25 buy-in. We're each drafting 8 movies. The eligibility window is movies that are coming out tonight, February 2nd through the end of April. April 28th is the final Friday of the month. So we're going to run it until there's a clear winner determined. If a movie opens limited during this time frame, we'll allow it to expand after 4/28 with no issues. There'd been some. Had we done this last time, maybe somebody would have drafted Babylon, and that would have been another bomb for somebody. Doug, that was you. You probably would have drafted Babylon.
Yep, that's true.
And we missed out on A Man Called Otto. But at that point, I think it was, we missed out on him. No, we had that in the window, as that was when we drafted last time. That was going to be a wide release, and then it switched to limited. So based on our rules, somebody would have lost A Man Called Otto. So if something's going to open limited, well, that's fine. If it goes wide after the month of April, the draft order is Doug, followed by Corey, followed by myself. We're doing a snake draft. So it will go Doug, Corey, then 2 picks for me, Corey, then 2 picks for Doug, and so on and so forth. We'll run through the movies that are eligible for being drafted. I opened it up to basically everything that is coming out in theaters between February and the end of February and April. Some of them probably won't make really any money at all. A lot of them are going to make a ton of money. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, there is a lot of there's consistency. Big movies are regularly coming out finally, like every single week for like the rest of the year at this point now. It's fantastic. The pandemic era is finally over as far as it affecting movies and like them constantly being ones for people to see in theaters, especially once Ant-Man opens in 2 weeks. But here's what we got. We got 80 for Brady. I think we all know that. The four famous actresses trying to go to Super Bowl 49. Super Bowl 51. We've got Knock at the Cabin, the new M. Night Shyamalan film. We've got
opens tonight, right?
Opens tonight along with 80 for Brady. We've got Marlowe.
The hell is that?
That comes out. It was pushed to 2 weeks from now. It's a Liam Neeson movie, a neo-noir crime thriller. So I should move that behind that. We've got the Titanic re-release. We have Magic Mike's Last Dance, the 3rd chapter in that series. We have Ant-Man and the Wasp, 3rd chapter in that trilogy. Emily, it is a biographical drama film with a bunch of people. It's a part fictional.
It sounds like a
bunch of people I don't know. It's one of those movies I don't think any of us are going to draft. The director, you'd recognize the director. She was in Bedazzled. She's an actress. She was the
Brendan Fraser's Bedazzled.
Yes.
Wow.
The
Long time ago.
female love interest in Bedazzled. She's directing the film. It's a
Okay.
part fictional portrait of a real life English writer, and it's concentrating on fictional romantic relationship with somebody else, an actual person.
Okay.
But again, I doubt anyone's drafting it. But that's what that movie is. Cocaine Bear. We've probably seen the trailers for it by now. Kind of has a Violent Night type of look to it. Elizabeth Banks directing it. It's about a bear who ingests a ton of cocaine and is going on a rampage. Jesus Revolution. It is about an American author and pastor and his book Jesus Revolution about the Jesus movement in California during the 1970s. Kelsey Grammer is one of the leads, if that means anything to you. Probably only means something to me because I'm watching Frasier now. But it comes out around that Easter time of the year, so could make some money from religious people, from Christians. Creed 3, self-explanatory. Scream 6, self-explanatory. Champions, it's a new movie by Bobby Farley, I think. Bobby Farley, not Peter Farley. These are the Farley brothers, as they're commonly known as. It's a reunion with Woody Harrelson, where he's coaching a handicapped basketball team in order to get back in. I think it's based on a true story, to get back in the good graces of the NBA because there was some controversy or something. It's comedy, naturally. It should be a more highbrow version of The Ringer with Johnny Knoxville. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Inside, not Bo Burnham's Inside, but Willem Dafoe's Inside. This is the one where he gets trapped inside a apartment building that he's robbing. 65. It's the Adam Driver movie that's set in the dinosaur era. I think there's time travel involved. Moving On. I believe that is the one. Yes. No. Moving On is another Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin movie. They have 2 movies coming out this spring or this winter, spring. 80 for Brady and this one. The trailer just came out today. It's directed by the director of American Pie. Malcolm McDowell's in it as well. It's about getting revenge on their dead friend's widower for wronging them decades earlier. So it's a comedy film. A Good Person, Zach Braff's new film starring Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman, set in New Jersey. It's got that. Maybe he'll hit that Garden State gold again. John Wick Chapter 4, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, the second attempt at making Dungeons and Dragons a box office hit. Spinning Gold. This is one of those movies that I threw on the list that I am not really sure of what it is. Okay, it depicts the life and career of record producer and Casablanca Records founder Neil Bogart, who is credited with discovering many iconic musical acts such as Donna Summer, Kiss, and the Village People. So it's it's a biopic. 1001. What is 1001? It's a movie with Tiana Taylor. It had its world premiere at the Sundance Film Festival, where it won the Grand Jury Prize. So it means it has potential to be a hit with audiences. I don't have a clue about what the plot is. I just know Tiana Taylor is in it. Air. This is a Matt Damon, Ben Affleck movie about the creation of the Air Jordan brand with Nike, about them working to sign Michael Jordan. Both of them are starring in it. Ben Affleck directed it. They both produced it. Super Mario Brothers movie. So the second attempt at making Mario a hit on the big screen, this time animated. It's the Bel-Air. It's that one with the violinist, black violinist in like old timey England or France, not sure where. France. Kind of has the look of that one that you saw last year, Corey, or earlier this year with Peter Dinklage, but not a musical.
Oh, Cyrano.
Yeah, very much looks like that type of vibe. Renfield. That is the vampire assistant or Dracula's assistant comedy with Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult. We have On a Wing and a Prayer. It's one of those. It was supposed to come out last summer. It's with Dennis Quaid and Heather Graham. I believe it's like a movie timed around Easter to get the Christians to the theaters. The Pope's Exorcist. That is with Russell Crowe, another exorcism movie. Trailer just came out today. Evil Dead Rise, the latest installment in Evil Dead, another attempt at a reboot. It was originally going to be an HBO Max movie, but they're putting it. Zaslav decided to put it in theaters. We'll see if it works. House Party didn't when they decided to move that from HBO Max to theaters. Beau is Afraid, the latest film from Ari Aster, starring Joaquin Phoenix. The Covenant, that is starring. Looks like it's a war movie. It's a Guy Ritchie film starring Jake Gyllenhaal, an action thriller war movie. What else? Somewhere in Queens. Ray Romano directed it. Stars Laurie Metcalf, Sebastian Maniscalco. So they clearly worked together again after The Irishman. Don't know much else about it. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, the adaptation of the Judy Blume novel. Saw the trailer for it. Man called Otto. Looks amusing. Paint is Owen Wilson playing Bob Ross. Big George Foreman, a biopic of George Foreman. And then there may be one other film I'm seeing here. Yes, I'm adding it. Carmen. It's another an adaptation of the play Carmen. It's a musical, and it stars Melissa Barrera and Paul Mescal. Paul Mescal from After Sun that you just watched, Doug, and Melissa Barrera from the Scream reboot series, the main character in it. So yeah, it's a musical drama. I believe the last adaptation of it was actually an MTV original film starring Beyonce that aired on MTV, like one of their first original films back in the early.
Oh yeah, I remember Carmen. I do remember that.
So this is the latest adaptation of that. So that's what we got. Any questions about any of these films or anything?
Nope.
Does anyone want to trade spots?
No, I'm good I'll settle with my third spot. Looks like.
All right.
Well,
that was my only question.
All right, Doug, you threw it in. You might as well say it. Throw it out there.
Yeah, I'm going to do the movie that nobody seems excited for. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. We got Kang making an appearance. No one seems to care about that. Looks like a CGI fest, but it'll make a lot of money opening weekend, and if it's good, it'll keep making money. So, gonna just go with the safe bet.
There's been an MCU
Marvel movie,
an MCU movie drafted first. I think maybe at 3 of the 5 previous drafts.
At least
I know Spider-Man was. I know Black Panther: Wakanda Forever was. I'm not sure if Black Widow was drafted number 1. I know Shang-Chi was not. I got it as a steal pick at number 4 or 3. And then last spring there was no Marvel movie. So yeah, MCU on top again. They're the biggest franchise in the world, Doug. You're going to make a lot of money from this movie. You know you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be as much as people think, but whatever.
We'll see.
I mean, it's tracking for 120 million 4-day opening. So
Yeah, these movies will open big and then go off a cliff.
that has been the Phase 4 thing. That it didn't happen prior to Phase 4. All right. Corey, your number 2 pick. What do you got?
Mario Brothers.
Fuck you, man. I was gonna pick that one. I think this one is gonna be a smash.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was gonna get it at my 3 or 4 pick. Yeah, it's gonna be very big. It's an animated movie that I think is gonna be very big. Illumination already has tons of success with Despicable Me and what else have they done? Sing and
there was that other one that they did.
The Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna make a lot of money. That was a very. I'm envious of that pick. All right, this is gonna make it harder for me. I'm gonna go with. Well, not too much harder for me. I'm gonna go John Wick Chapter 4. I forgot how massive John Wick Chapter 3 was.
Yeah.
It made 175.
I looked at that and I was like, holy shit, that movie made a lot of money.
Yeah, it made 175 million.
It was massive.
Each one has made more than the previous. I don't think this one will make as much as 3, but I have to pick it just based on that alone. It will be a hit. And then this is what I was worried about. I thought you were going to take it, Corey, and that's why I was going to be able to get Mario.
Shazam.
Yeah, I'm worried because of
Shazam.
everything going on with DC, but I'm taking Shazam.
Okay.
Fury of the Gods. I actually think it looks pretty fucking good in comparison. Like the trailers have been very solid, but I think like it has a stink on it right now because everyone knows a reboot for everything is coming. So it's just bad timing. But
yeah, Gunn's done like a really bad job of being like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, those are my 2. Back to you, Corey.
I'm gonna go with Titanic.
A Titanic re-release. Alrighty. You got the re-release.
That made it more complicated for me.
You had the re-release of Avatar last time. You got the re-release of Titanic this time.
Yeah.
Opens next week. I know I'm definitely going to see it. I didn't see it in 3D when it came out in 2012, so I'm excited to see it this time. Doug, you got 2 now. Oh, let me cross off Titanic.
Yeah, I'm going to do Creed 3 and Scream 6.
You bastard. I mean, I didn't think either one of them were going to make it back to me, but the fact that you got both of them.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd get both of them. So that's why I was like, oh, shit, because I just had relegated myself to a different movie. But I'll take it.
Yeah, both of them are going to be hits. Scream 6, I'm interested to see if it's similar to Scream 2, where it makes like identical amount of money. Or if there's a drop similar to like Scream 3 had a little bit of a drop, or if it actually increases because Jenna Ortega is a fucking superstar now. And actually, and actually makes like over 100 million, like the first 2 movies did.
Yeah,
but it's certainly not going to go as low as Scream 4 did. At worst case, it'll probably be like 10 million below the last Scream that came out. So, and Creed 3, both previous Creeds made over 100 million. I'm just interested to see how it does without Sylvester Stallone. But I certainly wanted to draft it.
I'm looking at the movies, and there's still like some interesting stuff left. And then I looked at how long it's going to be till it gets to me, and I'm going to get some like trash by the time it gets back.
Yeah,
we'll see. Glad I got Creed and Scream.
Yeah, you got 3 damn good movies so far. All right, Corey, what do you got?
Knock at the Cabin.
Oh, we going with Shyamalan this weekend. Should got all the no, it's got the premium theaters for a week because Titanic takes them next week. But the reviews are solid for a Shyamalan movie. It's on the upper level for him. I think it was at a 70 something when I looked at it yesterday. We're seeing it tomorrow night.
Oh, really? It's that high?
Our group of friends. It's got 71, which is ranked number. Yeah, I'm always happy to see the dude have success after like the fucking vitriol he had to deal with for so much of that middle portion of his career. The only ones higher are Split, Signs, and The Sixth Sense. It's his fourth highest as of now. It's right around Unbreakable and The Visit. Okay, me. Fuck. All
There's
right.
some interesting stuff right here. I'm interested to see what you do.
I'm interested to see what I'm going to do.
I have a feeling I know what you're going to do, but I'm interested to see what you do.
You have a feeling. All right.
I'll let you know once you pick.
Yeah, no,
if I thought it was right.
obviously don't spoil it now. All right. Franchises in horror tend to be reliable, so I will go with Evil Dead Rise as one of them.
Good pick.
And then my second, I'm going to go with '80 for Brady.
Oh, wow. I was so off.
I think older audiences are going to go see this movie.
Yeah,
they're going to flock to 80 for Brady.
This might be a terrible pick, and I'm biased that it's not Brady pick. Just retired.
Just retired.
It opens this weekend. Fuck it, why not?
Murph is on the nostalgia screen.
Yeah, it might have been a terrible pick, but we'll see after this weekend.
I think it has potential to make money.
Obviously, you can't say what you thought I was going to pick, but we'll get to that later.
No.
All right, Corey.
I'm gonna go with Beau is Afraid.
I knew you were going to eventually get it.
Walking Phoenix.
That's why I made sure that you wouldn't have to worry about the limited release.
Yeah.
I wanted you to be able to have your Ari Aster movie.
Yeah. So
Fuck, this is kind of hard now.
Yeah, it is.
Wait, Beau is Afraid is a limited release?
Well, it'll expand in May.
Oh, okay.
Got it. And we said that's fine. That
qualifies. I didn't realize that. Just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Because there's movies on here that could be like huge hits. Or they could not be at all.
This is like the most intense draft I think that we've ever done.
It's all over the place.
And there's safe picks too, where you're like, I can get 50 million, but then it's like, but do I want just 50 million? Do I want to go for 100 million?
Yeah. Well, do I want to aim for the gold?
I think I want to aim big.
He's aiming high. I know what he's doing. I know what you're researching right now too.
Just looking at the talent pool in the movies.
Oh, okay. What do you got? 2, 3, 4. You got 5 more picks total. Audiences, he's thinking. To those listening, Doug is deep in thought on these 2 picks. Do you have one
I'm
that
trying
you're
to think what these.
Do you have one that you're leaning on?
I have one that I think I know I'm gonna do, and then I've got.
So, and then we've got Corey after that, and then wraps around to me again.
I think I'm just gonna go safe-ish. It's not that safe. I'm gonna go Dungeons and Dragons, and
that was the one I thought you were gonna take.
And I'm gonna do 65. Bucket.
All right, an original sci-fi movie with Adam Driver. I dig it.
Feels like something that like a bunch of idiots could flock to.
Okay.
Dungeons and Dragons could break out. It looks mildly amusing. It's got a pretty decent cast.
I think that movie's gonna be pretty big.
It's gonna do way better than the fucking one in 2000 did. Dungeons and Dragons is more popular in general now than it was in 2000.
Test screenings loved it too, apparently.
All right, so Doug, you might have a big winner there.
65, I'm just like, the studio thought enough of it to put $90 million into it.
I'm up next, right?
You are.
So, all right, I'm gonna go with Cocaine Bear.
That was the one that I was like toying with.
Did you think I was going to take that before, or has the one that you thought I was going to take not been drafted yet?
I've been eyeing that for a while, but
Cocaine Bear I think is interesting because it
wasn't going to be it wasn't going to be a late pick for me. Yeah,
but I think it could also. I was thinking you were going to take Dungeons and Dragons, Murph.
I was considering it.
I wanted that earlier.
Cocaine Bear is intriguing because I think it could be a hit,
or it could snakes on a plane,
or it could be like bomb.
Yeah.
That's what worried me about it. That's why I went 65.
Yeah, because it's not straight horror. Like it's not like a straight horror movie. Like it's horror comedy.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think it had a Violent Night tone to it, and that was a pretty big hit. So.
Yeah, it could definitely be a hit. So, I like that pick.
All right. Back to me.
There's an easy pick left.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the easy pick. I'm going with Magic Mike's Last Dance.
Yeah.
First one was a big hit. Second one had a fall this one could have an increase based on when it's opening and how it's more of a romance movie than a male buddy stripper comedy. And Soderbergh's back directing it.
It's super safe. I toyed taking that in my round just because it's like guaranteed to be probably at least 50 million.
I would hope so.
End.
Yeah.
And then it can go higher. I think the ceiling is probably lower. Like I don't see it hitting 100 million.
No, I don't either. But we'll see what
can't go wrong with 50 million.
We'll see what him and Salma Hayek can do together. I mean, Channing Tatum proved it last spring with Dog and The Lost City. He's still a box office draw. So
yeah,
very much leaning towards the older females with my picks.
You've got another one that's easy too. This is an easy one this should be easy for you.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're thinking is easy at this point. I don't see anything easy at this point. I'm between two movies right now, and this is tough. I'm trying to think if one of them could possibly come back to me. And if so, which would it be? God damn it. This is hard. All right, I'm going with the one that's an adaptation. I'm going with Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. The beloved book among females. Never been adapted before. The trailer was funny. I think it'll do pretty well. All right. Back to you, Corey. Again, audience is listening. Corey is thinking this time.
I'm thinking. I'm very thinking.
Corey, you have how many picks left? 1, 2, 3. You have 3 left. I have 2 left. Doug, you have 3 left.
I'm gonna go with Air. Ben Affleck's Air.
That was the one I was between in my last pick. A good pick, but it could also be a terrible pick because adults don't see movies anymore.
Yeah, true.
But I think it's a fucking good pick, and yeah, I wish I got both of those movies. Now I don't know what I'm picking moving forward. All right, Doug, you're on. You got 2.
I don't remember what half these movies are, or 90% of these movies are.
I can't believe 80 for Brady Windsor. I actually was thinking about taking that even earlier. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, I probably could have got him the next go around, but
you 100% could have.
What are you gonna do? Well, Corey said he was thinking about drafting.
I was thinking about it. I probably would have gotten it. I would have taken it the next go around if you didn't take it there. probably.
I thought I'd be getting it maybe like right now in the draft.
I just think it's like such perfect timing. He's retiring. He's in the news. It's got 3 older, very well-known actresses. 4. Yeah, plus the cameos. If could be a big one.
God, my audience is so fucking female. Ever since Evil Dead Rise, after that, really relying on the females. Don't let me down, ladies.
Evil Dead Rise is going to be interesting. I don't know what to think of that one. I heard it's great, like test screenings, but I don't know if it's going to do anything in theaters. I could see that being like Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, where like no one saw it.
Which one?
Evil Dead Rise.
Evil Dead. Yeah. It's a horror movie, so no.
You don't think so?
It's being marketed well.
Okay.
It's Warner Brothers marketing it, not Screen Gems. People are going to be aware of it.
Yeah. Because the buzz is.
But I do think there's a limit to Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Because of how gory it is.
Yeah. Like 70 million, maybe. If that.
Yeah, the reboot. The remake.
I don't remember what the reboot did.
Probably did around 60. Evil Dead, when was that? 2014, 2013. Made 54 million domestically.
Okay.
But horrors are probably bigger than. It's definitely bigger than it was at that point in time. Friggin' Scream came out 2 years before that, and Scream 4 and bombed.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Doug? Still thinking?
Oh man, this is horrible.
Googling every movie right now.
I think I'm gonna go The Covenant.
Oh, you fucking asshole.
I mean, I'll get like 30 or 40 million out of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
His movies are guaranteed that, at least.
Which is all I can hope for at this point.
Which one's The Covenant?
Guy Ritchie. All of his movies.
It's the Guy Ritchie, Jake Gyllenhaal one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than like Aladdin, all of his movies have done like around 40, between 35 and 40 domestically. Which is weird because I didn't realize that his movies make even that much money now at this point.
Yeah.
I always see them like on VOD so quickly. But I guess he has a following.
All right. Doug, your second pick.
It's fucking horrible.
I mean,
This is absolutely
I don't
horrible.
have a clue what I'm taking for my last 2 movies.
I think I'd just put me down for Renfield.
Fuck you, Doug.
Let's pack this up.
God damn it.
I probably would have taken it with one of my 2 if it was still there.
Yeah,
I could also see it bombing incredibly badly because I think it looks terrible.
Yeah, I could see it doing horrible, but
it's got Nicolas Cage.
It's got Nicolas Cage. He's so hot right now.
Some people will see it just because it's got Nicolas Cage in it. So
yeah.
Okay. This is not good.
This is not good. Did you say something, Corey?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I just sighed.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm drafting after this. I think this is my worst draft. I hate this draft. Yeah, I fucking don't like it.
I feel like I've heard you say that though a million times, and it's like, guess who won again? It's Murph.
I'm losing this one. I think I'm coming in third for this one.
We have it. We have it a recording now. We'll see.
Yeah. And then it's gonna be like, all right, Corey, like how do we want to give Murph the next gift card?
Oh yeah, did you send me my $25?
I did.
Oh, thanks, man. You're the best.
All right.
Should be sitting in your Venmo.
It is.
All right, I'm gonna go with moving on.
Moving on.
The
Jane Fonda, Lily
Tomlin, Malcolm McDowell, baby.
All right, that's fair. It's probably where I could have got E for Brady.
And Richard Roundtree is in it. Shaft.
There you go.
Pumped.
Ah, shit. I have to draft now.
2.
It's gonna be a hit.
Oh man. Stop it. All right. All right. I'm just repeating myself. I'll go with The Pope's Exorcist.
Okay.
Russell Crowe.
I was hoping that would be my last pick.
Why not?
I have to go look at what these movies are again.
And then right, I'm between two movies. So I'm going to go with the one that I probably shouldn't. Fuck it. I'm going to go with Champions with Woody Harrelson.
God damn it. Those are the 2 movies that I had slated for my pick.
I don't think it's going to be successful, but
You never know. Sometimes if it like had a cult following or something,
yeah,
it's got just as much of a chance as Renfield does of being successful.
I think Renfield is more of a chance. Final pick for Corey, and then final pick for Doug.
Hopefully people stop picking the shit that I want to draft.
Well, there's, what is there, 10 movies left on our list, but
I've got another one in my head, and I feel like it's possible that Corey's just going to pick it.
you have 13 movies left on the list. Most of them will not make much money at all. Honestly, most of our last few movies probably will not make much money at all.
I have like one change. I wish I had drafted one thing differently. I want to go back and look.
I wish I could do everything different. I didn't fucking expect Corey to get Mario Brothers. It threw me off. I don't want Shazam. But I should have known Corey doesn't like Shazam, so he wouldn't have picked it.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to go Ant-Man Shazam as 1 and 2. And I would get John Wick and Super Mario, and then that would be that. The draft would be mine. But Doug, I legitimately hate your movies. Ant-Man, Creed, Scream, and Dungeons and Dragons. Those first 4 really annoy me.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had the balls to have just gone Super Mario Brothers for the first one, but
yeah,
it's just a little riskier than I wanted.
It is risky. It's animation, so it is risky.
But it could make like $400 million, $500 million.
Yeah, I think 300.
Whereas like Ant-Man and the Wasp is probably gonna like cap at like in the 2s to 300. I don't know. Maybe
No, I don't see Ant-Man making more than 300 million.
Maybe it's a huge movie.
I mean, Ant-Man 1 and 2, there was an increase from 1 to 2. There will be an increase from 2 to 3. But yeah, I don't see it going higher than 300 million. Super Mario Brothers could potentially go higher. But I mean, it's a safe pick. Ant-Man's a safe pick. But man,
I know, but it's not always the best way to go.
It's not always. But Creed and Scream, those are too good for your wraparounds. Those are.
And then I threw like caution to the wind on fucking 65. I should have just played it safe with Magic Mike. Why are we recapping the?
Because we needed to talk while Corey's thinking.
I'm ready. I'm gonna go with Zach Braff's A Good Person.
That was a lot. Fuck.
That's all 3 of the movies that I picked as my last one.
That was the one I was thinking about taking.
Morgan Freeman, Florence Pugh, Molly Shannon. Yeah.
Yeah, the cast. God fucking damn it.
I was thinking about taking that one. The trailer is decent.
I don't know what I'm picking.
Comes out at the end of March. So.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna regret having not taken that one. Well, Corey, let's analyze your drafts while Doug's thinking for the next 2 hours.
If you guys wouldn't have taken my movies, God fucking damn it.
Sorry.
I'm just happy, or not happy. I'm at least proud that I got someone off guard on this one.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you got a lot of us off guard.
You fucked up all our shit.
Yeah. So even if I don't win, if I like screwed up, it made it more interesting. That I'm cool with that. I was thinking to myself,
you're the goddamn wild card, Corey.
I was thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, Ant-Man is definitely gone. If I take Mario, it is going to most likely throw everyone off.
Yeah, you are the wild card of all our drafts. While you killed it with your Super Mario Brothers pick, I think you shanked it with Titanic because I don't think it's going to be it's going to be similar to Avatar. It's only going to be in theaters for like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I think it could do better than Avatar.
My thing was that if it can hit like 100 million or even close to that,
its last release made 60 million in America.
Okay.
So we'll see what this one does.
I feel like it'll do better than that with the Cameron buzz.
Knock at the Cabin, solid. Bo, I knew you were going to take Bo Is Afraid. You probably could have got that later, just because Ari Aster's your boy, and I don't think Doug. Were you planning on were you going to take it?
I hope someone was.
No, his movies don't do particularly well in the box office. So
he's just growing a cult following now. So like it would be in a very solid pick, like a round or two later.
I was thinking he's got Walking Phoenix, which is big name. I think this movie will probably do better than his last two.
Cocaine Bear. I was annoyed you got that. Air. I was annoyed you got. A Good Person. I totally thought that's something you would draft because Florence Pugh. But the fact that it was your last pick, there was nothing I could have done at that point. I could have either drafted it or let you get it.
And moving on.
What's moving on again? Oh, the Lily Tomlin. You got the other Lily Tomlin one.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I need to hope John Wick has another increase and Shazam. People are just hyped about James Gunn that James Gunn lifts fucking all tides right now. That's what I need.
I'm just gonna do that. All right, I'm gonna do that stupid Raymond Romano movie and just fucking call it a day with Somewhere in Queens. None of these movies that are left are gonna make any money.
All right,
they're all trash.
I was expecting you to take Carmen just because now you like Paul Mescal as an actor and think he has chemistry with everyone, or potentially could have chemistry.
I'm worried that movie's too like indie to make any money.
That's fair. All right. That's
Not that I love. I should have just went with like my fucking.
So what'd you choose? Somewhere in Queens. That's what you went with.
Yeah, he went with Somewhere in Queens. Yeah.
People like Everybody Loves Raymond. That was a show that people liked back in the day, right?
Yep, that was a show.
Yeah.
It was like a number one show like at one point. All right, Doug. Yeah, this is gonna be tight. If Corey, you didn't do the Titanic pick, I would easily have you as number one. If you took Creed 3 or Scream, I thought you were going to take Scream at that pick. I think you'd be easily the number one. So you're keeping things interesting. I think you probably won anyway because of Mario.
I don't see Scream or Creed doing the numbers that they did previously.
That's fair.
Maybe Scream because of Jenna Ortega, but Creed, I don't know.
I should have taken Dungeon for Dragons instead of 80 for Brady or Evil Dead.
Dungeons and Dragons, I definitely want.
I also had thought at that point of taking Magic Mike, so I was happy that eventually made it back to me.
I think that's a good pick.
I wanted Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret one after seeing the trailer. So I'm glad I got that, but I also wish I got Air. I think that could be a hit, just because it's Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in a drama comedy and around an iconic figure in Michael Jordan. God damn it! I hate this draft. This is going to be a fun one. And it starts tonight. We'll see how the movies did over their previews tonight.
Yep, I'm sure everyone's flocking out to see 80 for Brady.
I'm gonna when my new Brady jersey arrives, I'm gonna wear it and go see it. I did a 3-day shipping, so I can wear it next week.
Oh yeah, we have to decide when we're seeing that.
Yeah, see, we're
got to make
proud to go.
Yeah, she's got to make those get those seats for the group.
But yeah, I guess it's possible anyone can win. But
grab Fran and Joan and go see some 80 for Brady.
Oh, my mom's totally down to see 80 for Brady. She's like, these are great actors. It looks funny.
I guarantee if I show my mom the trailer, she'd be like, "Oh, that looks great."
It's gonna be.
I think that movie's gonna make money. I'm telling you. I think it's gonna make money more than we think.
Brady retired for this fucking movie to make money.
I just think he's in the forefront of everyone's minds right now with this.
Oh man, he should just make a deal with Pats fans. Like, I will do a 1-day contract and retire a Pats fan. All you need to do is see 80 for Brady.
Especially
show me your ticket stubs, and I will do it. Or if it makes this much money. If
he retires as a Patriot, like soon, while this movie's like in theaters now or over the next, then yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
I'm sure that's like all he cares about though is getting that 80 for Brady box office.
Yeah, he's getting a percentage of the box office.
He's a producer of the film.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him like promoting it at all though. Have you?
He was at the red carpet premiere this week. He was, and I think he was on a podcast with Gronk or something talking about it. Gronk was like, "Tom, you have some great chemistry with Sally Field. I think you should ask her out." And Brady's like, "Well, you also have some great chemistry with Jane Fonda, so I mean, you never know what could happen there." But yeah,
That's great.
this is going to be a fun pool. See how bad each of us whiffed it.
Yeah. I feel like 65 is gonna be my moonfall. Where like I was like big budget movie, like it's gonna be it'll make money.
I think there's definitely going to be some surprises for sure with this group.
Renfield could be a hit.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Renfield's gonna do anything.
Probably.
I wanted that one.
I should have like Magic Mike was like the safe thing, and I was just like 65, and I feel like that was so dumb. I don't know why I made that decision.
I forgot about Magic Mike completely. I just missed it on the list, and then once Murph got it, I was like, "Fuck, forgot."
Yeah, it was when it was at 15. I was like, "There's a franchise film for like a mildly big franchise. Like, okay, I have to take it."
Yeah.
I think you guys just like get into my head because like I'm like, well, no one else is taking it. There's probably like a reason for it.
Well, we'll see. All right. That's all we've got for today. Thank you, as always, for listening. Follow us on social media. Let's subscribe to our podcast on any of those channels. Follow us on YouTube. All those good things. We'll figure out what we're going to talk about in our next episode in the next week or two, and we'll be back. But as always, this has been Corey, Doug, and Murph at Liberty Film. We'll see you again next time, film fans.
Bye.